Y'all good?
Morning.
Good, good, good. I wanted to talk a little bit about homelessness this morning because we have our Journey Home coming up this week. And I was looking at this number, 2,000 people moved out of homelessness into permanent housing. So I was asking Terry, I said, what are those 2,000, who are those 2,000 people? And these are 2,000 people that they come in contact with, that they've prevented homelessness from becoming homeless, as well as the people that we've actually been able to house, and most of them have moved toward permanent housing. So the average length of time someone experiences homelessness has been reduced in our city by about 30% over the past 2 years, and less than 15% of the people who moved into permanent housing returned to homelessness within 2 years, better than what we call the national average. The annual count of people experiencing homelessness has shown a 10% decrease in the city over the last 3 years. This prohibits, these priority guidelines, our approach to combating homelessness include reducing the length of stay in shelters to less than 90 days, which is something that we've really been focused on because we realize that in some ways it becomes difficult for people to go into shelters because they got to take their stuff in and they got to leave, and so we've gotten better arrangements even in our shelters to allow people to lock their stuff up in some of these places, which has contributed to people becoming less homeless. Ending veterans homelessness is a big priority of ours. We work with McVet, who really focuses on our veterans who are homeless in our city. Ending chronic homelessness among families. I think you all recall that when we had about 65 people who were in front of City Hall, one of the things that we were able to focus on almost immediately were the women who had children, because we have places that take care of women with children specifically. Increasing access to safe and supportive housing. You all remember how difficult it was for us on Guilford Avenue, and we went there more than, almost every other day, just talking to people, convincing them that we do have opportunities for people to come up out of the street. And many people don't believe that those possibilities really do exist. In fact, we took some folks over to the place that we were providing dormitory type living facilities, and they again then went and got other people to go so that they could see and experience what they were experiencing, and that helped us to get some of those folks off of the streets. Embedding equity policies across homeless programs are also important to us. Increasing economic security of households in our system is also important. I thought this particular area is so important to the city that we looked nationally for someone to just direct homeless services for us. We've been working cooperatively with the police department, but we found a young lady. Her name is Jerry Ann Anthony. She was the Deputy Administrator for Homeless Families in the District of Columbia, where she was responsible for a 40% reduction in family homelessness over the course of 2 years, gaining national recognition as the 2018 recipient of the National Alliance to End Homelessness Excellence in Ending Families Homelessness Award. Congratulations. Prior to that, she served as the Director of Homeless Programs with Northern Virginia Family Services, where she oversaw singles and family shelters in 3 continuum of care. During her tenure, she successfully helped over 500 individuals and 200 families obtain stable housing. So I thought I'd give her an opportunity to share with you all her perspective on ending homelessness here in Baltimore. She's joined our team, and I'm really happy to have her. This is Jerry Ann Anthony.
Thank you, Mayor Pugh. I'm really excited to be here with you guys in the city of Baltimore. When I came to meet with the mayor, was just really excited and felt a breath of fresh air. Her vision to really make homelessness in Baltimore rare, brief, and non-recurring was definitely something that I could get behind, something that I supported. And just really wanted to be here alongside her to make that happen. So I'm really honored to be here with you guys today. I want to talk to you about a few key initiatives that we have coming up, and then I'll take questions if you guys have any. So October 15th initiated our winter shelter season for this year. That's guaranteed shelter for anyone during the winter season when we are experiencing freezing temperatures. This is a life-saving effort. Like, if you are aware of homeless people that need shelter when the code blue goes out, we encourage you guys to reach out to us. We will provide transportation, pick them up, and take them to our overflow shelters. It's extremely important that people not be out in the elements during inclement weather, as it could cause hypothermia and loss of life. We just launched a public housing partnership, which gave us 14 additional units of permanent housing for individuals who are exiting homelessness. And so we're really excited about that partnership and plan to continue our efforts to really collaborate with other city agencies as we look to really look at the intersection between homeless services and other city agencies across Baltimore City so that we can be able to effectually end homelessness as we know it. We're also looking at the Medicaid waiver program, which we've recently launched. This allows us to really leverage Medicaid resources and provide really supportive services to our families and singles who are exiting homelessness. It's not easy for someone to be homeless, and it's certainly not easy when they're taking the first steps to really get into permanent housing. So this is a pilot program that we're launching and really excited about working together to bridge together housing and healthcare needs and how that will begin to impact services for our homeless residents. And last but certainly not least, we are in the process of launching a rental assistance program, which we're very excited about. Again, the mayor's vision is to make homelessness rare, brief, and non-recurring. So part of that, making it brief and non-recurring, is really providing preventive services for families and individuals before they come into our system. So this will allow us to assist people with eviction prevention services. So as people are receiving writs of eviction and things like that, they can come to our office and we will be able to assist them before they enter an episode of homelessness, which we're very excited about. Last but not least, I wanted to put a quick plug in for a great event that's taking place this weekend. So on Saturday, October 20th, at the historic Lyric Theater, we will we'll have an evening dedicated to ending homelessness, and we encourage everyone to come out and really be a part of this great effort to reduce homelessness in our community. This year's event is featuring Grammy Award-winning artist Brandy. The funds raised from this benefit go to an extremely important cause. It helps us to increase the supply of affordable housing, increase access for people to comprehensive medical care, and ensure that people have sufficient income and opportunities to employment services. So we invite everyone to come out and be a part of this great event as we continue our work to really end homelessness here in Baltimore.
Where are you coming from?
Most recently, Washington, D.C. Where I served as the Deputy Director for Homeless Families.
How long were you there for?
I was there for 3 years.
Did you play a role in getting the homeless veteran housing going? I don't know if that was before you were...
It happened during my tenure. It was primarily for seniors, but we were focused across our system on ending veteran homelessness, and that's also something that we're really prioritizing and looking forward to doing here as well.
How much does addiction play into this issue of homelessness?
Addiction plays a pretty big part. Not just addiction. So one of the stereotypes that oftentimes come with homelessness is that everyone is addicted, which is not the case. About 30% of our people that we are working with are experiencing some level of dependence on substance, and that's self-reported. It could be much higher based upon what's really happening out there. But the truth of the matter is we're serving a much broader population. It's not just people who are addicted and have mental health. We're serving people that are serving you coffee in your Starbucks in the morning are experiencing episodes of homelessness. So we really just want to, there are our homeless neighbors who are in need, and where we can help, we're committed to doing so.
And can you address any of the costs that might be related to any of the initiatives coming up? Like the eviction prevention services, is that any cost to the city or?
It's locally funded. It's a pilot program. So again, we have a number of evictions throughout the city, and I don't know if you are aware, but as people enter the homeless system, it costs the city much more to house them in temporary shelter than it would have if we were to just simply be able to help them and stop their eviction. It also stabilizes families, and so we believe in that and support it. This small pilot is starting out with $300,000. We're hoping to learn more about how it works, what the benefits of it, hoping that we'll get more private funders who are invested in this, because again, it's a preventative measure that stops people from entering our homeless service system and stabilizes families, and families do much better in a household of their own when they're not worried about a roof over their heads from night to night.
Please describe some of the intervention measures that you'll be taking to prevent these evictions.
Yes, so we'll be providing financial assistance, counseling, credit repair, and working with them. For clients, if they have intersections with the housing authority, we will be contacting housing authority to try to help them with payment plans. We'll also be working with connecting them to legal services so that if it is an illegal eviction, they can seek the necessary services to really work to abate that.
Will this be involving the court system at all? Will there be a partner in this?
The court system is not a partner right now. We may get referrals from the court system, but that is the only interaction that we've really thought about having with them at this point. Again, pilot, trying to see as much as we can learn to build a our vision is for a more robust prevention and diversion program. But this is just the beginning of what we're thinking and trying to learn more. I'm sorry.
With the renovations of some of those large housing units, where will those be?
They're in current the public housing stock. So there are people that have moved out, and as units came offline, the housing authority was kind enough to dedicate some aside for our homeless neighbors in need. And so we have 14 that we're starting off with.
And when will that begin?
It actually begins next month. People will start to move in.
Any other steps you're taking to help people get back on their feet? I mean, once they have a home, they may not have a job. Any other things that you may be doing to help them?
Absolutely. So one of the things that Mayor Pugh mentioned in her talking points was recently our Continuum of Care launched the Journey to Jobs initiative, and that's where we took a look at the intersection of workforce development and homeless services. So we're really trying to embed racial equity into the work that we're doing, as well as workforce development, because as we know, it's one thing to get a person housed, it's another thing to help them to sustain housing. And so we want to dedicate efforts to not only getting them through the front door of their home, but helping them to really have robust services around them so that they can maintain their housing, and employment is a vital part of that.
These, the public housing units that you're using for homeless housing, which homeless housing units are they? And these aren't the ones that are kind of going offline because they're going to be demolished, like at Gilmore Homes or?
No, they're not being demolished, and we're not going to disclose like specific communities where people are moving, but there are 14 units. They range in two to 3 bedroom units, where it would allow our 14 families out of our shelter to exit shelter into permanent housing. And they'll be provided with case management as part of that.
Madam Mayor, City Council seems like it's going to press the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, the Trust Act, to you. Do you envision possibly using some of those funds to help support initiatives like this?
So, of course, I mean, what we've done is we've created a $20 million affordable, the City Council is not forcing. There was a referendum passed before we got elected, I think it was in 2016, and so what we've done is worked out a plan that funds the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which is what the advocates had wanted, but putting that together took some time, and so we were able to work that out. So we're very excited about moving the Affordable Trust Fund forward, which provides $20 million in affordable housing opportunities, but as well as with the $50 million investment fund that we're creating, the Neighborhood Investment Fund. When you look at what we're doing just in housing in general across the city, when we talk about equity, one of the things that we are asking for and working with the enterprise development that is up on Liberty Heights, you will find that in there will be places that are dedicated for people who are chronically homeless, as well as affordable housing as well. I mean, that's the way that we feel that we should be moving forward in the city. The project that we just broke ground for over behind Lexington Market is another facility that will provide housing for the chronically homeless as well as affordable housing. I mean, that to me is a part of the footprint for Baltimore in terms of being successful, in terms of how we ultimately reduce homelessness or continue to reduce homelessness in the city. Any other questions on homelessness? Okay. let me just say, I am really excited about Jerry Ann Anthony and the work that she's going to do. She also took the opportunity to share with you all our event this weekend. I didn't know whether Tanya Miller needed to add anything else at this point, and that's how thorough Jerry Ann Anthony is, and we are so proud. I had the opportunity to interview the last 3 candidates for this particular position, and she stood far above. We had some really great candidates, but she just shines, and I'm excited about the work that she'll do. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. I know Terry's happy. He's tired of getting those. He gets texts and emails every day. So thank you. Thank you, Bill. So I got a hard, fast stop because I got to be somewhere else. I'm sure some of you will be following me to my next event, but I'll take a few questions.
I'll ask you this question about the current streak of violence, which, we asked you
Yes.
briefly about.
Mhm.
What do you think is different between the beginning of the year and now?
Mhm.
Because the pace, I think,
Oh,
is
absolutely.
certainly
Changing.
picked up.
Mhm.
So what do you attribute that to?
Okay.
If you can put your finger on it.
Right. So let me pick up on that because we've been trending downward, and as Jane pointed out, we were as low as 23% down in, especially around homicides. Really a complete focus on reducing homicides in our city, especially January, February, March, April. May was a tremendous, April we had a slight uptick, but May we had something like almost a 30% reduction in homicides in the city. June, July, and August we trailed. We were still trending downwards. August and September and October. September was just totally out of control. There is a drug war. We've heard about the war on drugs. There is a drug war taking place in our city. There are too many illegal guns continuing on the streets of our city. As someone, the streets always talk. They give you information. There are at least 7 different products being sold over in West Baltimore. If you ride through, you can hear it. We got this, I got this, I got this, and everybody's territorial. And so people are protecting their territories with guns. And while we don't have enough officers on the street, we do have officers on the street. As I said, we've said all hands on deck. I think I mentioned that we've even got a backlog and individuals who want to be officers in the city because I've said everybody needs to be on the street. And so we've got folks on the street. I'm just reminding my officers, on the street, out the cars, moving through these neighborhoods, but these neighborhoods just seem to become more violent, more guns coming into our city, more drugs coming into our city. And for those who don't know, yes, we have the DEA, we have federal help. Our acting commissioner, Gary Tuggle, has asked the state for not just patrolling around the state, but coming in and helping us patrol in the city. The transportation people are in. As you well know, you just may have heard earlier this week, the Sheriff's Department is now patrolling the city as well. It's an all hands on deck, but the issue still remains that we need additional police officers in our city. And I've said it before, freezing police positions it has really had its toe on the city. But when I look, Jane, because we always look historically in terms of where violence is, this time last year we were trending in the northeast section of the city. And we put particular attention over there. The problem is displacement. You get one area secured and then it pops up here. We're putting up more lights, we're putting up more cameras, we're focused on that, but we've got to get more officers, and I can't wait until we implement the new program with Comcast with 100 additional cameras around the city focused on us being able to, deter some of this violence. We are, again, I was looking at Pennsylvania Avenue. I was there last night, right before one of the shootings that took place. It is still too dark on that corner to me, and I think we've got to still brighten up that area a little bit more, and a lot more community engagement and activity on that corner needs to take place.
It's really concentrated on of the 12 shootings that have happened in the last...
It's all in the West Baltimore area.
a
all-
little bit of the northwest, but really
Concentrated in that-
And that's for the year, too. It's
Right.
very different now when you look at the map. It's really...
Yeah, and so I think
overweight.
I also think it begs the question, are we doing what we were doing in the first 5 months of this year are we doing, what has changed? And that's part of the conversation that we get to have at the Violence Reduction Initiative, because we were able to really pipe down some of that violence over in that area. Now, I know that personally we've walked that area at least 3 or 4 times in that particular community. And there are too many small markets in that area that are still harboring those who are selling drugs and so forth in our community. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again, that is not the kind of activity that we want operating in neighborhoods and communities. You see some of the work that we're doing on Pennsylvania Avenue. We've got new houses going over there in the Baker Village area. We've just done some refurbishing at Shake and Bake. We're going to do some more. We've got some work that we're getting ready to do in Sandtown, tearing down some of those and rebuilding some of those neighborhoods. But, you know, this kind of, we're not accepting. We're not accepting this. I had a conversation this morning with the police department, with our patrol folk, and said, you know, we can't tolerate this. And so I'm saying that to those who are out there, drug dealers, drug sellers, whoever you are, gun toters, you know, it's not acceptable. And so we will continue to fight to reduce this violence.
Mayor, can I understand, why did you ask City Council to hold this informational hearing?
Excuse me? I don't get to ask City Council to hold any hearings.
Okay, so then in something, are you trying to propose the surveillance plane?
Why would I be proposing? I know our plan, the Violence Reduction Initiative, does not include that. I don't ask the City Council to hold hearings.
So are you going to ask
Excuse me?
this year to help with funding for some sort of surveillance planes? Is this something that you're working on with the BPD right now?
I have a Violence Reduction Initiative. If you read the Sun papers just this week, there's a list of all the things that we've asked for. I don't think that involves a plane. I don't ask the City Council to hold hearings.
Is it something you'd be in favor of, to have a surveillance plane?
I've already said, we have a Violence Reduction Initiative. We're working with Comcast to put 100 new cameras around the city. So I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know about the hearing. I don't call for hearings for the City Council. The City Council calls its own hearings. And in order to have a hearing in the City Council, either the chair of the committee asks for the hearing or the president of the City Council does.
So that's a no, that you're not.
Any other
interested in having a
questions?
surveillance
I've already said the violence reduction. You want to read the story that's in the Sun papers, we'll give you a copy of it. I've sent a letter to the governor. Yeah, I've sent a letter to the governor of all the things we've asked for. Okay?
Madam Mayor, in New York City over the weekend, there were 0 shootings. It's a city that is 15 times our size. Meanwhile, yesterday we had 11 shootings in our city in one day. It's showing that big cities can do it. What are they doing differently that we're not doing?
Several things. One, they have mandatory gun laws in New York, in Massachusetts. I sent a copy of those to the Sun papers. But if you go online, you can look at the laws mandatory for certain, for carrying illegal guns. They don't carry illegal guns in New York. They don't carry them in Massachusetts or Boston because there's mandatory sentencing for carrying them. And so those things need to be, we should be concerned about. Too many people in this city carrying illegal guns, too many ways for illegal guns to get into our city. In Pennsylvania, they have too many gun shows and people can just go up there and get them and they can tote them back to our city. People go up there and they buy them and they bring them back and they distribute them all over the city. It is just too much. It's intolerable.
Mayor, you had a meeting with Ricky Spector, is that correct?
No, I didn't.
Recently? No?
No, I didn't.
She said last night she had a meeting with you about the surveillance plane.
No, she didn't.
Not last night, but, I mean, she said this last night.
You're on a subject that I'm not on.
Okay, well, I'm asking about it, so.
Any other questions?
How do you stop the illegal guns? I mean, it's almost an insurmountable problem. Where do you begin to stop the?
I think that's where you look at the DEA and the federal and the feds. We've been working with the federal government. We have the FBI in here. We have the DEA in here. We have the ATF in here. We've got state troopers, you know, patrolling. We've got to stop the illegal back and forth of guns. Too many gun shows in Pennsylvania, too easy to get guns and tote them back to our city. We just can't have it. It's almost intolerable. Thank you all. I've got another meeting.
The next police commissioner?
We're pretty close, pretty close. Thank you.